Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans alike, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago, one of the couple, two, three best podcasts around. So sit back, grab yourself a cold one and a Polish sausage, park your keister in the French room, and listen to Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose, as long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts Alex and Sean. On this episode, we are going to absolutely eviscerate this stupid team we call the Chicago Bears. And who knows if we get to anything else, because my anger level is through the roof. But first, before I start spitting venom, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You get to see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. So don't sleep on this. Head on over to icehogs.com. Get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, sign up for tickets and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. And the season is starting really soon. So don't sleep. Alex, I know you watched that debacle.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why do they find new ways to be embarrassing?
It's almost like a lot of us are beyond being angry and just we just do what you just did right now. Just say why. Like I sat there thinking, what are they seeing differently that we all see? Like, we're clearly not NFL coaches, but we see the problems over and over, but they don't seem to. I don't understand. I don't understand why you drive into the red zone and you play super conservative and not really go for the end zone. Why not? Why are you running up the middle on second and long? Why aren't you at least trying to make short passes so at the very least you can make it manageable? Why are you continuing to do that? Why are you not able to pick up a bootleg throughout the entire first half? Why are you punting on 4th and 2 when your back is to the wall? I don't get it. I simply don't get it. You saw this afternoon after the game, you saw a Patriots team nearly beat Green Bay in Green Bay with a quarterback that not a soul heard of a few hours ago.
He is the emergency quarterback. He is the emergency quarterback. And he came in and took the Green Bay Packers to overtime in Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not put the training wheels on at all. They were just like, nope, throw it away, kid. We're going for this.
And isn't it nice to see good offensive line play?
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know where to start. Lucas Patrick sucks butthole. Like, just watching him get manhandled. Why is he starting over Tevin Jenkins? Tevin Jenkins has consistently graded out as our best offensive lineman. Why isn't he starting?
What is the benefit of this rotation stuff? Why are we doing this? Tevin Jenkins has the highest ceiling on your line. Why are we doing this?
I don't understand. And why? What is it with the Bears? Like, okay, hey, our quarterback is getting murdered standing in the pocket. Why don't we move the pocket? Why don't we have a design rollout? They started to do it in the week 1, the second half, and then just like, oh, we forgot how to do that and stand in the pocket. you know, it's I okay. I'm going to set my criticism of Justin Fields to the side momentarily.
Mm-hmm.
How do you expect the kid to develop if he's running for his life every time? You're like, well, Justin Fields missed that Darnell Mooney was about to get open when he scrambled for that first down. You know what? I'm sorry. I mean, sure, listen, he should be looking downfield, but when he's running for his life consistently, you self-preservation takes precedent over looking downfield. It just does.
It's a different angle when you're actually on the field with the people around you than it is on TV when we get to see the entire field. We're looking down like we're playing a video game. We see the entire field because we're watching on TV. We're not on field level with guys coming at you full speed. It is, you're right. You know, you have to hit your guys downfield, but when you're constantly under pressure, it makes it harder. It really, really does. And I mean, you know, Justin Fields, definitely an upgrade over last week. It was really hard to get worse, but you saw some better throws this week. You had the big bomb to Darnell Mooney. You had several throws to Mooney that were good. You had some really nice runs. Could they have been plays where you could have passed? Yeah, but at least you were able to move the chains a few times by running. And he made some really nice runs too. There were several times where he could have been bottled up for a loss or no gain, but he was able to get a first down with his legs. So definitely an improvement. Definitely not perfect. Nowhere near perfect. But you watch some of the other things around it. Why are you throwing a bubble screen to Cole Kmet on what, 3rd and 5 in the red zone? Why?
Yeah. Today's loss last week was just a complete debacle. I'm sorry. Wait, last week but
they
the
still won.
Yeah. But this week the coaching staff was not prepared and didn't get the players prepared, and they didn't make the adjustments in game that they needed to make, and Luke Getsy is coaching scared, absolutely coaching scared. And I
can't
don't understand.
Win like that.
I don't understand. I get it that you don't have weapons. Oh, I get it. I'm watching on those man coverages, nobody getting open.
Right.
I see it. And your offensive line is porous. But you know what? You got to do something. This is your offense, is run some, inside slants, quick slants to move the ball. You don't have to get moving down the field 15, 20 yards, but you've got to move the ball forward. Even if you throw a quick slant and you pick up 6 yards, then you're 2nd and 4. The entire playbook is open. If you keep doing things like that, you keep the defense on their toes. If everything is predictable, then, or you're playing scared, you're not gonna win. And their play calling in the red zone is atrocious. The fact that they can't protect the quarterback is atrocious. The fact that they don't move the pocket is atrocious. There was one play where there was a 3-man rush, and immediately one of the defensive linemen just comes barreling in. The rest of the field was open, and Justin Fields, got taken down by the one guy. All he had to do was slide step. And the problem is your offensive scheme has your quarterback afraid. And he's also having to throw everything at a weird angle because there's a guy in his face. So even when he's able to throw the ball, he's having to throw from an awkward angle because there's somebody right there. You have to do something to prevent that. You can't have him so worried about his offensive line not doing their job that he's not doing his job. That's bad. That can't happen. with a young quarterback, you've got to take as many worries off of his plate, put them on yours as possible. And if Luke Getsy is too scared to make play calls, then we're in for a real long season.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. You can understand game one in the first half. It was his first go around in a regular season. The weather was bad. Okay. You can understand that. And we don't expect perfection. We don't, there's going to be bumps in the road. That's fine. When you don't have a lot to work with, it's harder to do. But there's a difference between using what you have and just flat out playing scared. Because if, like, to your point, if you play scared, your quarterback's going to play scared because you're playing scared. And again, what is the point of trying to get in the end zone if you're never really making a play towards it? Okay, here's the thing. When you're like first and goal from the 5, yeah, run on first down is usually the play to go to. But when you're 1st and 8, 1st and 9, 1st and 10, or you're 2nd and 12, because maybe you lost a yard or two, and you still call run plays, or you try to go east to west. How many throws towards the end zone did they actually make today? There was the one incompletion that was high on the first drive. I think I saw a stat where like 99% of their plays inside the red zone was the run. And again, it's fine in situations to run when you're in the red zone. But when it's that many and you're barely even throwing to the end zone and you're not scoring touchdowns, don't you want to change things a little bit?
Yeah, you've got to switch things up. You got to change things. Luke Getsy had better figure things out because they're going to need to score points next week.
Oh, the chances of them winning next week feel really low.
Oh, they feel real low.
I feel like it's going to be one of those games where for the first like half or, half and a third, maybe, I don't know. Just there's going to be a time where they're in the game, but they're not playing great. And then it's all just going to kind of unravel. That's kind of how I feel like it's going to go.
I mean, honestly, they have to score points. They have to. That Vikings team is going to put up at least 24, bare minimum. And so this garbage 12 or whatever you put up today, 15, that's
not going to do it.
Not going to cut it. You got to get touchdowns.
Well, you knew early on when they were just kicking field goals, you knew that was going to win them the game.
I know. If you could have converted, two of those into touchdowns, you win the game. Like this, yeah. You shot yourself in the foot in this game every opportunity you could.
They tried to give it to you.
I mean, you had half of their defense went out at some point because of an injury. They lost both of their quarterbacks. They lost their left tackle. And last week,
Wildcats out there.
Last week, they gave up 6 sacks and they were down their left tackle, down both quarterbacks, and you still couldn't stop the Wildcat. They basically beat you with naked bootlegs that there was no contain.
No one even close to him.
If somebody would have just kept contain, they probably don't score on any of those.
No.
And for it to happen in like an entire half and then part of the second half, it just boggles my mind. I mean, I want to be systematic here in my vitriol here. Is Braxton Jones looked lost out there part of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas Patrick is a turnstile. And what's his name? The center, he is not good. Needing an upgrade.
Cody Whitehair went down.
Cody Whitehair went down with an injury. Who knows how bad that is? Hopefully he's fine. But
if they don't have David Montgomery next week, oh man.
Like running backs, okay, they were fine. But quarterback is Justin Fields. Justin Fields need to be more decisive when he's running. If he sees an opening, take off and run. Doesn't matter at this point. Move the chains. And he gets so indecisive when he's starting to run that he ends up gingerly getting to that mark and taking hits. Is be decisive. Hit that when you see it. Just run for that first down, get that first down, and then slide. Don't take hits. Don't try to dance with anybody. Just run, full speed run, and he's got to be able to hit those. There's how many over the last several weeks, how many times has he had a swing pass, a dump off swing pass where he missed the running back?
Yeah, that's an issue.
It's been way too many. Once in a while, okay, I get it. It's been way too many. He's got to be better. He's got to be better. His pocket awareness has got to be better. I get that offensive line's not good, but there's been times where he's got to figure out the difference between the pocket collapsing and just pressure, where he can either step up in the pocket or step to the side, but he's got to keep his eyes down the field, and he's never going to be a good quarterback until he can do that. And the wide receivers, they're not good. I thought they were going to be better. Maybe when Pringle and Harry come back, things are different, but man, they can't get open. They can't catch balls that are contested. This is tough. Defense, man, nobody got any pressure.
No pressure, none, absolutely none. The only thing I can say positive was Jaquan Brisker looks good. Eddie Jackson looks like his old self.
Jaquan Brisker looks good, but there's times that he just totally looks lost. And that's going to happen as a rookie. You're going to see that.
Right. I'm giving him a little bit of a break because he's done enough good. Whereas Kyler Gordon, on the other hand, little rough.
Yeah, Kyler Gordon, I get rookie cornerbacks to have their struggles, and especially when they're on a bad team, they're going to have struggles. I get it. I just want to see glimmers of hope in there sometimes. I want to see him make a nice play. Not like, I don't want to see 4 bad plays in a row before I see an okay play.
Right. I
want to see some gems and some glimmer of hope that he is going to be the guy. But until then, he's actually been a liability. Even some of these other, guys like Jaylon Jones, have been better. So it's been tough. Eddie Jackson has looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But Roquan Smith again disappeared today. And in fact, anytime you noticed him, he looked bad when you did notice him. Is
the way Tyrod got owned by Tyrod Taylor.
It's bad. I mean, this is the guy who even before the game, they're in pregame, they did an interview with him, and he's basically saying how he's going to show everybody he's one of the best. He hasn't. He's had, out of 4 games, he had 1 really good game and 1 really good game, 1 really bad game, and 2 pretty darn not good games. That is not earning you $100 million contract.
No. It's frustrating. I mean, like, they did a better job of containing Barkley in the second half, because in the first half they just bowled all over him, but still, it wasn't pretty watching them stop the run. It hasn't been pretty watching them stop the run all year. I mean, the bootlegs with Daniel Jones was the most frustrating thing I think I've ever watched, because they just did it over and over and over again. It was the same thing. They were just doing it until it didn't work anymore, which they basically just kept on doing it. I don't know, man. I
don't know how that boot works and then how it keeps working. Like, if it happens once, okay, we got burned. Don't let it happen again. But when it keeps happening, and honestly, if the Giants were a better team, they would have totally burned the Bears on those.
Yeah. You ain't kidding.
They didn't have another receiver coming open, and they ended up just being the quarterback running for like 12 yards instead of throwing for a touchdown. Like, that's a big difference, and it's still bad, still hurts your team, but man, you just, they're just, I don't know, they're phoning it in. They got that emotional high from that 49ers game, and then it's just been city since.
Well, and I mean, that's the thing, like I was going to talk about too. You just brought it up, how you were still in that game, and it could have been a hell lot worse if you were against the better team. I mean, the Giants might be one of the worst 3-1 teams we've ever seen before. They are a bit banged up, to your point. Even if fully healthy, they're not that great of a team. And you saw them give you opportunity after opportunity to try to take the game from them, and it didn't happen. You know what was really telling? Because I know I'm not the only one who felt this, and I know other people said this, is when Eddie Jackson made that pick downfield. To me, I'm like, you know what? That's just another deep punt. It's not like they got the turnover in their own territory. It was way downfield, and you were basically fielding a deep punt. And it's like, you didn't feel like it was that big of a momentum changer. And it wasn't. It really wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't at all. Yeah, when he caught that, I was like, if he falls down, this is bad news for the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, like, you might as well take deep shots downfield and punt it and make the Bears try to drive down on you. The other play I really want to talk about was the Justin Fields fumble, and how you didn't play to the whistle.
Yeah.
Not the first time that's happened.
Like, the fumble itself, like, somebody was crashing into him, and he didn't have a good grip on the ball, fell forward. If he didn't have that, crook in his mechanism, that would have been an incomplete pass.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that nobody played to the whistle, where's the hits principle?
It was fluttering in the air plenty of time, and they just kind of stopped. That swung the momentum.
Yeah, that was big. That was big. There was very few big things that were changed the trajectory of the game, but that was one of them.
Yes, it was.
Everything else was small change that just added up. That was a big swing, and the Bears didn't recover from it.
And the Velus Jones muffed punt, that pretty much ended the game. What were the chances they were going to score, and not only score, but get the 2-point conversion?
Slim and none.
Yeah. So I wasn't even that mad about that. I'm like, they were probably not going to score anyway. Honestly, the most exciting thing they did was those laterals at the end.
But it was literally the most Bears way to end the game.
Oh, of course.
Because Cole Kmet has hands of stone. And, they couldn't even set that up. the way you set up that play is you send the ball one direction and then you line up blockers on the other side of the field. So when you throw it across, you've got blockers. Like that. They never did that. Like,
honestly, though, a very Bears thing to end that game would have been they actually did convert on that and score, but then do something really awful on the 2-point conversion.
Or they score and then there's a holding call that brings it all back.
Yeah. There were not a lot of penalties on the Bears today, speaking of which, but there were a few really bad, ill-timed ones. And that was kind of part of that whole momentum swing you were talking about, where it was kind of piece by piece. There were a few of them where, you had the pass interference, you had a hold that set you from 1st and 10 to 1st and 20 and killed that drive. You didn't have a lot of that today. You weren't littered with penalties, but the ones you did make were very ill-timed.
The pass interference on Kyler Gordon, I thought was a little ticky-tack, but
it's going to get called. Like, I agree it was ticky-tack, but as soon as that happened, I'm like, oh, here comes the flag, and there it was.
Absolutely. And but I mean, that play was either going to be, man, the Bears are dumb, or the Giants are dumb, because if they don't call the pass interference, then the Giants look dumb because they dropped that pass where it hits the guy in the hands on a deep play. But they call the pass interference on the Bears, and it's because it wasn't even so much the contact. It was he contacted his face mask while the guy's trying to look at the ball. Like, it was a weak pass interference, but I get why they called it. I'm not gonna bitch and moan about the refs on that, but it just really sucks that Kyler Gordon just seems like he's a little lost.
Yeah. And you hope, he can kind of get back into it, because he's an important part. He was your first pick, and you want him to be a big part of that secondary, because you need all the cornerback help you could get, especially now that Jalen Johnson's been out for 2 weeks. There's just a lot of work to be done there.
Yeah. But when you look at this game and the other team scores 20 points at home and their quarterbacks combined for 82 passing yards and no touchdowns, no rush or passing touchdowns, you're like, you feel like you should win that game.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sure, Saquon Barkley ran for 146 yards, but honestly, he never felt like he was killing you. It was all those, though. It was Daniel Jones's 68 yards rushing that really killed you.
Yep. The bootlegs, the 2 bootleg touchdowns.
And then the one in the second half, they got that big first down.
Yep.
It's just so frustrating. I don't know. I mean, Giants fans are probably talking about their team the same way that we talked about the Bears last week. You know what? Count as a win, and it doesn't matter how ugly it was. It counts in the win column. But man, this being on the other end of that sucks, because I'd much rather have that victory and try to fix the things wrong. Afterwards. It's a lot easier to look forward and clean up things when you get the victory than when you're, hanging your head in defeat.
Yeah, exactly. And this is just one of those games where it was gut punch after gut punch where you just wanted to throw things. It was just not fun to watch at all. It was 3 hours of just frustrating agony.
Yeah. Like I think you had mentioned this before, but losing the way the Lions lost, like losing's never fun, but it's being able to move the ball makes it seem at least a better watch, like than slowly watching a team drown in quicksand.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions are putting up 30, 40 points a game. And they didn't even have Amon-Ra St. Brown, I don't think, today.
No, he did not play today, and they still put up 40-some points.
And listen, I get the Seahawks aren't that good, but even so, it's hard to put up 40-plus points if you're not an elite offense with an elite quarterback like Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, they dropped 45, and Jared Goff threw for 378 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. You had a running back that went over 100 yards. Your tight end caught 179 yards in passing and 2 touchdowns. Like they, the Vikings, the Vikings are a good team. The Packers are a good team. The Lions have an offense. And the Bears are figuring out the whys.
Again.
It's like I'm at a loss.
And
like,
say what you will about the Lions too. They're not Dan Campbell's not a coward. He's got stones. He's not afraid to make the big plays, or at least try.
Yeah. If you're going to lose, is go for it. Is play hard nose, go for it. Don't play scared. I mean, honestly, after last week with your kicker being out for whatever happened, and I hope everything's okay. I don't really care what the situation is. I just hope everything's okay.
Me too. Good for the guy, though. He made all of his kicks today.
Yeah, I was a little nervous because they said he was missing kicks in the pregame, but Michael
He
Badgley
made all of them. Yeah.
Michael Badgley, was the only person that scored for the Bears.
Yeah, good for him. He should get the game ball.
But honestly, when Cairo Santos you knew he wasn't going to make the game, I would have been fine if you just like, you know what? We're going to go no kicker. We're going to go for it. We're either going to punt or we're going to go for it on 4th down. No field goals. We're scoring. I'm okay with that.
That would have been cool. Touchdowns and 2-point conversions and going for it on 4th down.
I'm fine with that. Literally is in a game against the Giants. Yeah, go for it. You need to win that game. Don't settle for field goals. They should Luke Getsy should go into all these games going with the mindset that I don't have the kicker available. And in his mind, keep up that, all right, I either have a backup kicker or I have the punter is going to do the kicking and go for them, or pretend it's 4th quarter, last 4 minutes, and you've got to go for it. Like he's got to be more aggressive. Has to be. Yeah. They have to move the ball. They can't settle. They can't settle for these 3 and outs. They can't do it.
No.
At the bare minimum, they have to be flipping the field.
All stuff we'd like to see.
Yeah. Just move the ball, flip the field. We see we see the a new coaching staff, what it's doing for the Jaguars. Like they
night and day difference. I know that I don't think they're great yet, but it's surely better than it was last year.
Yeah, they look like a competent NFL team. The Bears, listen, I understand the Bears are a rebuilding team. I just wanted to see improvement on things that we bitched about last year. The offense was atrocious last year, and it's atrocious this year.
It's been atrocious for a long time, my friend.
Like how does it just keep happening? How is it that hard?
How can every other team do it much more efficiently?
I mean, we see a guy in Dallas, Mike McCarthy, that got run out of Green Bay, and nobody knows how he still has a job in Dallas. And he couldn't move the ball with Dak Prescott. And then he's like, Dak's injured. Let's take a guy that nobody ever heard of, Cooper Rush, and have him win us ball games.
Cooper Rush is the most cowboy sounding name.
It really is. I just, how does that happen? It just boggles my mind.
I got nothing, man. What I always ask is, what do they see that we're not seeing?
Yeah.
Well, how do they interpret it differently? How do you watch the film and say we're going to keep doing this even though it doesn't work?
I just don't know. I just don't know.
I mean, with Nagy, you could kind of use he's just stubborn excuse, but for this, why?
I mean, with Nagy, it was, hey, why are you throwing it 400 times a game and not running the ball? And you had to bully him with the media into running the ball. And he would run the ball enough where you'd shut up, and then you'd go back to just passing it all. Like, it's with Getsy, the way he's mixing it up is rough. He doesn't have a good mix, and
it feels a little more like John Fox to me. I don't know if you agree or disagree.
I mean,
I'm not saying it's the same, but that's kind of the vibe I get.
The split count, yeah. But I'm tired. Things are just getting predictable already. Why are we rushing the ball from the shotgun so much? I want to see them run it from the I formation under center and just be a power offense. If you're going to be a power run team, be a power run team. Stop taking so many shot or snaps under or from the shotgun. Like, stop. Move the pocket. Make some easy throws for Justin Fields. Let him throw it out into the flat. Like, I don't understand. It's get him heated up. Let him make some easy throws. And instead of right off the bat going out there and getting destroyed and going 3 and out, is move the ball. Get somebody out on the flat, swing pass. And then, I appreciate that they're using the screen more, because Matt Nagy hated the screen. It was anti-screen. But stop running the same screen. Have different screens. They're ready for it with Cole Kmet. This is always Cole Kmet. Stop having it with Cole Kmet. Run a different screen. Mix up your screens a little bit. I just, and part of missing David Montgomery is I have no qualms about Khalil Herbert as a running back running the ball, but Khalil Herbert as a pass blocker is that's where David Montgomery is night
Yes.
and days better.
Yes.
He's a
Yes.
much better pass blocker. And Tristan Ebner is a terrible pass blocker. So that's why he's not getting as much playing time, so you've got to mix things up. You've got to stop being predictable. You've got to be a little more aggressive. This schedule is not getting easier. This is the easy portion right now. And if you don't stack up wins now, then by the end of the season, when you're playing, you're playing the tough games, then, you're going to end up being one of the bottom teams in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. You couldn't have said it better.
I mean, we're talking about, we wrap up the season with, the going backwards, Vikings, Lions, Bills, Eagles, Packers. Now that's a tough stretch of games. In there you've got Falcons are actually playing pretty well. You got the Jets, Falcons.
Jets are playing better too.
Yeah. Cowboys are playing well.
The only gimme game you really have is like the Commanders, because that team is awful.
That team is bad, but so are the Giants.
Yeah, but I think the Commanders are much worse. That team is a tire fire.
So you've got 2 wins at this point. You're going to lose to the Vikings. You better beat the Commanders. Because that's your 3 wins. You're probably not beating the Patriots. You're probably not beating the Cowboys. Probably not beating the Dolphins.
Well, it might depend on the status of Tua.
I don't know who's his backup.
It is Teddy Bridgewater, and he's not awful. So I don't know if the Bears would be favored in that one, but if they don't have Tua, that can make a pretty big difference.
I don't know. They still have Tyreek Hill.
They do. That you're not wrong.
And that defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't see any way that the Bears beat the Dolphins. I don't know. Maybe they get one against the Lions. Maybe they get the Falcons and the Jets. Maybe. So you're looking at.
There's going to be one win within there where you don't really expect it, but they're going to pull it out. It happens every year, and it's the NFL. It's hard for me to say they're going to win one game the rest of the year. They might squeak out a win or two against a team you don't expect, but there's not a lot of favorable matchups after a while.
No, I mean, this was one here. You look at it and you go, okay, if they pull this win out, they're 3-1. And then you're like, okay, we've got the Commanders. That's 4 wins. Jets, Falcons. That's 6 wins.
And those 2 aren't unbeatable by any means, but
no, I mean, like, listen, could the Bears beat the Cowboys? Yeah, it's possible. I've seen the Cowboys play pretty bad this year. Could they beat the Patriots? They could. I mean, who knows what, it's only a couple weeks away, and who knows what, if Mac Jones isn't playing, and even if he is, like, Mac Jones is not a world beater. It's just basically not giving defensive scores up.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, the Dolphins, it's going to be, depends on what the weather in Chicago is. It's in Chicago, that you might neutralize that speed a little bit. And who knows, maybe Tyreek Hill is injured at that point. Who knows? The Lions have a terrible defense.
But they could also put 40 up on you.
Yeah, that's possible.
It'll be curious to see, though, is that Lions game at home?
That's November 13th. Lions at home.
Okay, so it might depend a little on the weather, too, because if I'm not mistaken, the Lions have only played indoors so far. And to an elite quarterback, that shouldn't really matter. But we have seen with Jared Goff how it can play. And November isn't like prime winter exactly yet, but if it's maybe like a little cold, a little wet, and a little windy, that might have somewhat of an effect on it. I'm really just kind of spitballing here. I'm not the big bear weather advocate, but I right now, I would be pretty confident that the Lions could beat the Bears, but I also don't say it's a 100% gimme either, even if they can put up 40 points typically so far.
I don't see any way possible that they beat the Eagles. I think that one's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
Unless
maybe their bus will get a flat tire. I don't know.
The Bills, they're going to win. Like the Bills are going to beat the Bears, but the Bills have not looked especially good this year, other than that first game. Even today, it took a Lamar Jackson interception in the end zone for them to win. Against the really bad, and they were down by I think 17 at one point to a really bad Ravens team.
What week is that Bills game? Isn't that right around Christmas?
It is Christmas Eve.
It is Christmas Eve. Hey, you know what? Maybe they'll have everything clinched by then, and they'll rest their starters unless they're playing for seeding. But I'm just again,
I hope Santa brings me a Bears victory in his big old sack.
He's gonna reach his big old sack and give you a big lump of coal.
He's gonna come out there and leave a present, but then steal my my Kool-Aid spoon. Like, Santa, you're not supposed to steal. You don't need it. Stop it. Stop this nonsense.
My gift to you is taking away your delusions.
My gift to you is a dose of reality.
Ho, Merry Christmas. A dose of reality from Santa Claus.
Santa comes down. He's like, Merry Christmas, and just slaps me in my face. It was like, stop it.
Son, you know that old saying, Santa can't always get you what you want? Well, even my magic can't work this.
I'm just so frustrated because the Bears really just failed in every aspect today. That this was such a winnable game.
Yeah, it was. The Giants didn't do anything. Like, if they would have played a really good team, they wouldn't have won today.
No.
They just kept bootlegging because you couldn't stop it.
Yeah, they saw, like, they pulled a Bill Belichick. Oh, hey, this worked. I'm gonna do it again. Oh, it still worked. I'm gonna keep doing it until you make it stop working. And so few NFL coaches do that. Like, I don't understand it. Like, if you have a play that just keeps working, why in the world would you stop doing it? Just keep doing it until they can stop it. Like, your goal isn't necessarily keeping them off balance. If you only keep them off balance, try to keep teams off balance because that gives you the benefit. But if you found some sort of weakness that you're like, oh, hey, you know what? They can't stop it when we run this outside sweep and we keep picking up 15 yards consistently, then why in the world would you stop it? Just keep doing that same play until you win. Like, beat them into submission, make them sell out. And then when they finally stop it, then do something else. And the Giants went to that philosophy. They're like, we're going to keep doing this. And the Bears couldn't figure out, oh, hey, just don't sell out on the play.
Exactly.
It's just infuriating. And I honestly, I just don't know how to make things better, because it starts with, you know, you don't have enough talented wide receivers, and I don't know when N'Keal Harry comes back, and I don't know how much of a benefit he is. I don't know when Byron Pringle is back. Didn't he? They put him on IR.
Yeah, I don't know exactly when he's coming back. It could be a few weeks, could be some time. We'll see.
But like you need something. Something's got to give. And I don't know if you have to make a trade at this point to get a wide receiver.
Sign that Odell Beckham Jr. guy.
But he's not ready to play either.
Yeah, I know.
Like that guy is not going to be ready until like the end of the season at best. Like you're signing him for like the playoffs. It's like there's no point for the Bears. I'm just frustrated.
What's Earl Bennett up to these days?
What's Muhsin Muhammad up to?
Apparently his son plays college football. My friend texted me that the other day, and he had a big game.
Huh.
Yeah. I always liked Moose.
I mean, he was a good player, but
so bring him back.
His son Muhsin Muhammad III.
Oh, there you go. What team does he play on? I don't remember.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M, that's right.
Yeah, so his season stats, he's got 7 catches for 135 yards and 1 touchdown, averaging 19.3 yards a reception.
You know, speaking of takes, you know what I would love to hear? You know, tomorrow and Tuesdays are the days I drive into work, so I listen to sports radio on the drive in, and boy, do I hope I get into the car and I hear someone calling to Mully and Haw, calling for Trevor Siemian to start against the Vikings.
Oh, you guarantee it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Guarantee. You're guaranteed. I can't after a Bears loss like this. I literally, it gives me anxiety to listen to sports radio. I can't do it. And so I'm not going to hear all of the nonsense, and I just don't want to hear bad takes from people. Justin Fields is the quarterback. You don't want Trevor Siemian. Chicago is the home where our favorite player is always the backup quarterback.
It's true. Josh McGowan. It's McCown, not McGowan.
Oh my God. Yeah, we should have never gotten to rid of that Mitch Trubinsky.
Oh, by the way, he got benched today.
Yeah. And Kenny Pickett didn't look great, but
no,
at least scored some touchdowns.
So he was 10 for 13 with 3 interceptions. So at least every pass he threw was caught by somebody.
Mitch Trubinsky. So I just want to point out, because I've argued with some people. I don't know if Flus and Getsy and this regime is going to work or not. I have no idea. But it does not mean it's a completely independent decision from was Matt Nagy bad and needed to be fired. Those are 2 completely different things.
We shouldn't even be going down that road. We shouldn't.
I've already argued with multiple people. Like, if Matt Nagy was bad, period. Matt Nagy deserved to get fired, period. Whatever happens after that, is a completely independent decision that it has to be judged completely different. You can't say, oh, this new regime sucks. We should have stuck with Matt Nagy. No.
Yeah, don't do that. Please don't do that.
Like after today, like I no longer want to talk about Mitch Trubisky or Matt Nagy. They're so far in the past. They're done. Like I don't wish ill will on anybody, but Mitch Trubisky is done, over, and and getting rid of him again, completely separate decision than bringing in Justin Fields. And if Justin Fields ends up failing, it has no bearing on whether or not getting rid of Trubisky was the right decision.
No, I mean, we do this revisionist history so many damn times. We can't do that.
It's not a, oh, well, if Getsy's offense is bad, that means that we made the wrong decision and Nagy was the right one. It's not, they could be two wrong decisions. There's not one is right and one is wrong. They're just two completely different decisions. And it drives me nuts that, people look at it as a black or white issue. It is a complex issue with multiple outcomes and possibilities.
Yeah, I mean, to relate to another team in town, I've seen a few we never should have hired or fired Rick Renteria takes with the whole Tony La Russa thing. Okay, do we not remember how much Rick Renteria drove Sox fans crazy with lineups and the way he managed the playoffs? Rick Renteria might be a better clubhouse guy and mentor, but he was not the right manager to keep around. There were a lot of people who were ready to move on from Rick Renteria at the end. And just because you hired Tony La Russa doesn't mean that moving on from Rick Renteria was the wrong decision. It's just like that.
Absolutely. Exact same situation is I like Rick Renteria, and I think he is a good manager for a building program.
Yeah.
I think he would make an excellent bench coach, but
bring him back to the north side.
But he was not the right manager for the White Sox. They did need somebody better. And all of the things that they were trying to tell us Tony La Russa was, I agree, that's what the White Sox needed. It's just Tony La Russa doesn't have those things anymore. And they're two completely different decisions. Is yes, right decision to move on from Rick Renteria. Right decision. But that doesn't make the Tony La Russa decision, it has no impact. It was a right decision that they made the wrong follow-up decision on.
Exactly. And unfortunately with the Bears, it's just a string of bad decisions. Getting rid of Trestman was the right move when they had to. Doesn't mean John Fox is the right hire. Doesn't mean Matt Nagy was the right hire under John Fox, even though Matt Nagy did have the one really good year, but that was because of the talent on the defense. And it wasn't wrong to move on from the last regime. This regime, we don't know. We don't know. We're worried already, but we'll see what happens long term. They say it can't get worse. Never say it can't get worse. That's all I'm going to say. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have moved on from the last regime. No.
Yeah, it just boggles my mind. Is how did you sit through 4 years of Matt Nagy and then go, man, we should not have fired that guy. Like, what? I don't know what you were watching. I mean, take out 2018 and every other year was a disaster. Like how did you keep looking at this team saying, oh yeah, this is it. This is the staff right here. This is it.
if you take away 2018, it's just basically the whole stretch was just pure mediocrity.
It wasn't even mediocrity.
Well, the last year was pretty. I mean, the 2 years were 8-8. I mean, that's mediocre
record wise, but we watched the product on the field.
Oh, it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
It was bad. So I just want to see the Bears be relevant.
Me too.
I mean, when all the national media is looking at this game going, nobody cares about this Bears-Giants matchup. It's just sad.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's two of the most historic franchises in the NFL, and nobody cares.
Yep. Irrelevant. Both teams irrelevant. And, are the Bears in a better spot than the Giants? Probably, but not by much. Neither one of us know if our quarterback is the future quarterback, but Daniel Jones, they've got to pay him. They've got to pay him at this point. Justin Fields is still on a rookie deal.
Waddle and Sylvie did an exercise the other day where they went through team by team in the NFL, and it was a simple answer. Who would you rather be, looking at present and future, the Bears or the other team? Like, so you'd go through each team, you'd be like, which one would you rather be? I want to play that exercise with you. I'm curious to see how we feel.
Okay.
So let's just go.
So right now, and then how far in the future? Next year, or
like just long-term outlook, like factor that all into your one answer.
Okay.
So just keep both of those things in mind. And then you kind of say, would you rather be the Bears or the team I just listed? So just keep in mind both present and long-term future, and then like a small rationale why. That was the exercise they did.
Okay.
Let's start within conference. The Eagles.
I'd rather be the Eagles.
Me too. Cowboys.
I'd rather be the Bears.
I'm kind of on the fence with that one.
Because you owe a lot of money to your running back, who is quickly becoming obsolete. You've got a lot of injuries on your wide receiver core. I don't know if Dak is the answer, and Mike McCarthy's a terrible head coach, and you don't have a ton of salary cap space. So I don't think they're going to be a bad team, but I just don't see them being a legitimate contender. I see a path for the Bears to be a contender. So that's why I say Bears, because the Cowboys are not winning the Super Bowl this year.
No, they're not. They're not.
But I also don't see a path for them winning the Super Bowl in the next couple of years either. That's
fair. I think that's a good rationale.
It is more of the Cowboys are kind of in a, I'm not going to say mediocre, because I think they're better than mediocre.
They're like 2 steps above mediocre. That's not quite as great.
Yeah, they're not good enough to be. They're regular season competitive, not playoff competitive, and I see that as their plateau going forward. And so I at least see a path for the Bears to be much better. So I'm going to say Bears.
Okay. The Giants. I think long-term, I'd say Bears.
Yes. I'd say even after today, right now, Bears, long-term Bears. So Bears.
Okay. Commanders. I'm going to say Bears. That whole franchise is a tire fire.
That is that is a big old tire fire. That's the size of the Sears Tower.
Yeah. Rams. I'm saying Rams.
I I'm going to say Rams, but not by nearly as much as you think, because I I don't know how much longer Matt Stafford plays for, and I don't know how much longer um uh Aaron Donald plays for. He might retire after this season, and who knows, and their head coach is talking about retiring. Um so who knows, and they gave up their draft picks. They don't have salary cap space. So they're primed to compete right now,
Right.
but next year or the year after could be a complete disaster.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
But I mean, odds are they'll probably be able to keep this together for a 1 to 3 year window. And so I will say Rams, but not by nearly as much as probably other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Cardinals. That one, I'm almost tempted to say Bears because I just don't that team I just don't buy into them.
I don't buy into them. I think their head coach is a pretty good offensive mind, but I just don't see them getting over the hurdle. And Kyler Murray has all the talent in the world. I don't think he is. I don't think he puts in the effort of that he needs to be next level. And I'm going to say Bears.
Okay. Seahawks.
Bears.
Yeah, I'll say that as well.
Even though they have an amazing head coach, and it's incredible what he's getting out of this team, but until they get a quarterback, it's going to be Bears.
49ers. I'm saying 49ers. I know Trey Lance is a toss up, but they know how to win.
Yeah, agreed.
Vikings. Right now, I'd rather be the Vikings, and I don't know how much longer Kirk Cousins is going to play there, but I'd rather be them right now. Just going to flat say it.
They
have weapons.
I'm going to say Vikings as well. But man, that Kirk Cousins thing is, they've got so much invested in him, but without him, because they invest so much in him, not because they want to, because they have to. And, I don't think he's good enough to win a Super Bowl, but that team also has a lot of weapons. They can run the ball. They've got good wide receivers. And now they've got a good offensive scheme. So I'm going to say Vikings.
Okay. Green Bay. I'd obviously rather be Green Bay.
Even though that could switch so quickly, because once Aaron Rodgers leaves, everything's going to fall apart there. But I don't see him leaving for the next couple of years, so I'm going to say Green Bay.
Yeah, exactly. Lions.
I got to go Lions.
I got to go Lions too. I like the way they put their philosophy together. I'm not sure Dan Campbell is the best technical NFL coach, but boy, does he have those guys playing, and he is not a coward. They have weapons. Dude, if they lose a bunch of games like 48-45 like they do today, and they draft a quarterback with those weapons, that's not good for the Bears.
Or imagine if they got a defense.
Yeah, that too. So yeah, I'd rather be the Lions.
Yeah, agreed. Rather be the Lions. So I mean, that in their division, I would rather be anybody but the Bears.
Yeah, I agree.
And again, a lot of these things could change.
It changes all the time. Absolutely.
If Kyler Gordon is the cornerback that the Bears thought they were drafting, and the Bears get a stud wide receiver in the first round, and the offensive line starts like these things, and you're like, oh man, all right, things look different. I mean, look how quickly the Bengals turned around from one year to the next. So all these things could change, but right now, the Bears would be the team I would want to be least in their division.
I'd agree. Okay, Tampa Bay. I'm going to say Bears because I think Tampa Bay's on the downslope. I think Tom Brady's pretty much done here. And I think after he's gone, it's going to get kind of rough down there.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I don't think they're good enough to win the Super Bowl this year. And Tom Brady is the only thing keeping them afloat. They have sunk so much into the right now that they are borrowing from Peter to pay Paul on their salary cap, and it's all going to come crashing down once Tom Brady retires, which is going to be at the end of the season.
Falcons, when I think about it on the surface, I would say Bears, but if you actually look at what the Falcons have done and you look at some of the pieces that they do have, I'm not sure that's as easy of an answer.
I just don't know if I sort of see what you're saying, but again, they don't have a long-term answer at quarterback. I don't.
No, they don't.
They have a stopgap. I don't we don't have their front office as an unknown, and sure, they've got some nice pieces there, but until they get a quarterback, I'm going to still say the Bears over Falcons.
Yep. Fair enough. Panthers. I'm going to say the Bears. I think the Panthers are a mess.
Yeah. Panthers are a mess. They got it. I mean, they're about to fire their coaching staff. If not, in the middle of the year, definitely by the end of the year.
And I'm going to kind of say the same thing about the Saints. I don't really know what their future is. They've had the cap issues and they still have some flashy players on the roster, but the team as a whole just isn't very good. And I don't know. It seems kind of bleak in New Orleans right now.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't ever seem to be as dark as it could be, but it's definitely not good.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. AFC. Dolphins. Hopefully, though, with Tua, we'll see what happens. But either way, I still think that team is in better shape.
And I know this is a Chicago sports show, but I do want to take a minute. The fact that the NFL let Tua go back in last week was absolutely disgusting. And then the fact that there was several days where actual neurologists are saying, no, there's no way that he should be playing. And they let him play 4 days later. And he gets that other injury that was even more brutal. That's just absolutely disgusting. And to add insult to injury, their head coach afterwards said, I think Tua was okay because on the plane ride home, the two of us were watching movies together.
Aren't you not supposed to be looking at a screen after X hours of a concussion?
Yes. 48 hours. You're not supposed to have screen time. It hurts the healing process of your brain. So it's
cringe thinking about it.
I've seen one neurologist say that, they that the second concussion syndrome could have killed Tua. And he was saying this before the second injury happened, before the game started. It was that after that, he could die. And it's everything that was handled on this is just
very bad.
Despicable. I've seen some people take some bad hot takes with, well, this is football, but you know what?
Oh, brother.
We learn about how serious brain damage and concussions are. We've redesigned helmets. We've changed some of the rules about how we play to, sure, football is always going to be a violent sport, but why does somebody have to get brain injury for you to be happy? Like a guy's life is on the line and his long-term health. And, it's just stupid. It's absolutely stupid. And the Dolphins botched that. And it hurts me to say that I'd rather be in the Dolphins position, but because I think they're a garbage organization.
Yeah. They don't exactly get the benefit of the doubt on there's been a lot of crap that's happened in that organization.
But I still don't know if I see Tua as being, an elite NFL quarterback. He might just be an okay quarterback with great weapons, but it does not change the fact that I don't want to see him with long-term brain damage.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Okay, well, the next one's pretty obvious. The Bills.
Obviously Bills, as long as Josh Allen is still in his prime.
And you're not sitting next to Bills fan puke.
Yeah, so it's Bills.
Jets.
Bears.
I'd agree.
I think they're very analogous. They're both just cursed organizations that are cautiously optimistic about their quarterback situations and have a lot of money to spend going forward, with new coaching staffs and new front office. Very analogous, but I'm going to say Bears because I believe in their quarterback more.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Patriots. I kind of want to say Bears here. I mean, I know we should give our benefit of the doubt to Bill Belichick, but I don't know.
I don't know how much longer Bill Belichick is there.
Right, exactly. And it's not like you have a ton of like super great building blocks. You have good O-line play. And, I talked about it earlier. They played well with a third string quarterback. They coached it well. But again, to your point, I don't know how long Belichick's going to be there. And I just feel like they got a lot of work to do.
I mean, Bill Belichick is about to turn 71 years old. He's not going to be there that much longer.
Right.
And since Tom Brady left, things haven't been as rosy as you'd like. And they don't have the best cap space issue. They have and once Bill goes, it is going to be a free fall because he's the general manager. He's the head coach. He's the coordinators. Sure, there's guys calling some individual plays, but everything is Bill Belichick. And so I would say Bears because they've got all of their eggs are in the Bill Belichick basket. And, I'm not saying he has lost it by any stretch, but he's going to be 71 years old. And that's at some point, don't you just get tired? Don't you just want to hang it up?
You've won 6 Super Bowls. What more do you need to do, man?
I mean, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. It's just time to hang it up.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, Chiefs, obvious.
Yeah.
Chargers. Yep. Broncos. That team does not look very good.
I'm going to say Bears because I think they have a Russell Wilson problem and a head coach problem.
And Russell Wilson is making a lot of money for a while.
Yes.
That could get messy.
Yes.
Raiders. I want to say Raiders for what they have. I know they're not off to a great start, but I'd honestly rather have the weapons the Raiders have than the ones we do.
The Raiders one is tough because if Josh McDaniel is not the right coach, then I want to say Bears. But if Josh McDaniel and if their quarterback is not the quarterback, then I want to say Bears. If it's, hey, we just ran into a string of bad luck, we're going to turn it around, I sort of want to wait to see a few more weeks before I say anything. But I'm leaning Raiders.
Yeah, I'm going to say Raiders.
I mean, if their quarterback is just, he was propped up by Gruden and the Gruden system, and he's going to be terrible, and Josh McDaniel's not the answer, then I could easily see it being the Bears, because then it's, we've got to figure out a lot of things. But I'm going to tentatively say Raiders at this point.
Okay. Browns, I'm going to say the Bears, because I don't want to be the team with Deshaun Watson. Just flat out saying it.
Agreed. And I don't know how that team has spent so much money and still is so far under the cap.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, they've got to be kicking so much down the road.
Yeah, it's gonna bite them in the ass one day. Piper's gonna need to be paid.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Bears.
Ravens. They've blown 2 big games this year, but I'm still gonna say Ravens.
I'm gonna say Bears, because it sounds like Lamar Jackson is not going to stay there long term,
which is true.
And their defense,
if he's gone, they're screwed. Yeah,
their defense is bad.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very bad.
They traded their top wide receiver, and some of these other receivers have really stepped up. I like their wide receiver core. Not love it, but it does enough. It's pretty good. But without that defense, without Lamar Jackson, this team is bad and does not sound like they're anywhere close to paying him. So I'm going to say Bears.
That's fair.
They could be in for a real downshift soon.
Bengals. I'm going to say Bengals. I know they're 2-2, but you're just coming off a trip to the Super Bowl. I still think Joe Burrow is good. I'm not sure the Bengals are going to repeat what they did last year. I think they might step down a little bit, but I still like the weapons and the way that team is overall built.
If you remember last year, at this point, the Bears beat them. And then they just went on a, tear. So I'm not writing the Bengals off by any stretch this year, but they've got their quarterback of the future. They've got their stud wide receiver. They've got a pretty decent defense. They've rebuilt their offensive line. They've got a good running back. I'm going to say Bengals.
Yeah. Steelers.
Bears.
Yeah, I don't know if that new quarterback is it. And Mike Tomlin, I think, is one of the best coaches of all time, but he's been there so long. He's accomplished so much, but I don't know.
At some point,
they don't have the quarterback solved.
Yeah, at some point, when you've been that competitive for that long, at some point you've got to sort of step back, reset, and then before you come back. And they have not really done that. They tried to do it on the fly. We're like, all right, well, Roethlisberger's gone. We'll sign Trubisky. We'll draft a guy. And Trubisky's obviously not the answer. I don't know about Kenny Pickett, but they need to put weapons around him. They just don't have it. The defense is okay. But I'm going to say Bears, because I'm not sold on Kenny Pickett. And if he's not the answer, he's not the answer. The Steelers have to go to get bad enough to get their quarterback solved.
Yeah, I would agree. Jaguars, I'm going to say Jaguars, because I still think Trevor Lawrence is going to be good. And I think that now Urban Meyer is gone and some of the weapons they do have, you're seeing better things there. They might not be fully there yet, but I like their future.
Yeah, I don't think they're as good as their record right now, but they're significantly better than they were in the last however many years. But you've got your quarterback in place. You're putting weapons around him. Um, I say the Jaguars.
Titans,
Bears.
Bears. Yeah, last year even I'd say differently, but the Titans.
Their
I
quarterback
think that's
situation's a
falling down.
mess. Yeah, their quarterback situation's a mess. Their running back is aging quickly.
Yeah, he is. Derrick Henry is. I think we've seen the peak.
He's peaked. He's going down. And I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying he's not able to carry a team like he used to.
Yeah, and their defense isn't very good either.
Like they're just a really well coached team. I love their head coach, and I think they're a very well coached team. It's just until they figure out who's going to be their long term quarterback and build around him, and they're realizing now that you need a number one wide receiver. So I'm going to say Bears because I think the Titans need to take a step back before they're able to go forward again.
I would agree wholeheartedly. Colts. I'm actually going to say the Bears. The Colts.
Yeah, the Colts are not good, and I'm shocked. Yeah, they just are not good, and they were carried a lot by their running back and a good offensive line. That's all kind of gone backwards. Your quarterback is done. He's cooked. So you need to figure out your quarterback situation. I'm going to say Bears.
Okay, then last and not least, Texans, Bears.
It's the Texans are not as bad as I think they could be, but
they need so much.
They're going to be. I mean, Lovey is a good stopgap coach. He is going to have them playing hard, and hopefully they get him a quarterback, and help him and give him weapons to build the team. But I think they're not as bad off as we think. But I would say the Bears' future is brighter.
Yeah, I would agree. So there you have it. A very mixed bag.
Yeah. And man, the Bucks are getting run out of the building. I don't know if you have the game on.
Yes. I actually am watching the Blackhawks and they're getting run out of Milwaukee.
Oh, I don't know if I'm ready to watch the Blackhawks yet.
They are getting outshot 31-10.
Who are they playing?
Minnesota. It's that game at the Bucks Stadium. Minnesota's obviously a good team, but the one thing I'll say about the Hawks. Oh, now it's 3-0. Cool. So the one thing I'll say about the Hawks, if we're gonna get just a tidbit of hockey talk into this show tonight, I just have one thing to say. I think Kevin Korchinski is going to be a dude. That's what I'm going to tell you.
Maybe. It's going to take all of my energy, I think, to be able to put these Blackhawks on and significantly watch them this season, because the announcers not happy with the team. No bueno.
I mean, it's a tanking year. I mean, really, the only thing I'm looking forward to with the Hawks is being able to get like $10 tickets. Give me a Thursday night game, $10 tickets, half empty 300 level, just sitting up there vibing, no lines to the concession stands or the bathrooms. I'll just try to enjoy that as much as I can.
Like when I watch these games, all I'm just going to keep in my mind is, man, Conor Bedard's going to look awesome in a Blackhawks sweater.
God, here, if we get the number one pick and we win like 15 games, that'll be 100% worth it. If you are listening to the show and you like hockey and you want the Blackhawks to be good again, and you have not watched Conor Bedard highlights, watch Conor Bedard highlights. This kid is unbelievable.
He is ridiculous. I mean, this is a generational player here. And the Blackhawks are going to suck at the right time. I mean, there's going to be some luck involved with the lottery.
Sean Hotman is going to put his Hamburglar suit on and he's going to go to the thing of ping pong balls. He's going to let all the ping pong balls out, scratch out everything, and just write Blackhawks on them in like shitty Sharpie writing and put them all back into the freaking turnstile, whatever you want to call it.
Oh my God. I am like, I don't know if I have the emotional energy to be able to watch the lottery drawing for the NHL, because if the Blackhawks suck and don't get the number one pick, I might break down and cry.
Yeah, I mean, the only consolation I could say is it sounds like some of the other top picks are projected to be pretty dang good too, but Conor Bedard would completely change the outlook of your rebuild.
He is not a player that you're like, oh, he's going to be coming along in a couple years. Like, he's like a dude. Like, you're going to put him on the Blackhawks roster his like year one.
Like Patrick Kane. It would be like Patrick Kane.
Yeah. And you're going to be like, if this guy doesn't win Rookie of the Year, then we feel like it's a failure. Like, he's the dude.
Right, exactly. This would jumpstart so much. All of a sudden, you'd have a generational talent to build around. And when you have that, that makes everything so much easier for you.
I mean, he is just a phenomenon.
And you know what? If you get that, and even if you're still rebuilding and suck, but you get to watch the next superstar in the making play, the fans will come back to watch that. Some will, at least. You will be able to grab more attention again if you say, you know what? We're rebuilding, but we got this stud, this superstar. He's taking the hockey world by storm. Come out and watch this. Kind of like 2008 when the Blackhawks were back on TV again. They weren't quite contenders yet, but they had Kane and Taves, and all of a sudden people are like, wow, these kids are good. This is kind of fun to watch. It would be like that. It would do so much for this franchise if they got that. And I don't know who else is going to be as bad or worse in the NHL this year. Arizona is probably going to be battling with you. I think with the new lottery rules that they can't get the number one pick in Montreal again. I believe that's how it works because they've gotten the first overall pick over the past few years. They're probably going to be a little better too. Not great, but they're probably not going to be as bad. Either way, you're going to be competing with some teams to get that first overall pick. And you just hope the Blackhawks get it. Arizona's going to suck. You're going to suck. Man, who else is bad out there? Not really anyone in your division. The division's good. St. Louis is good. You have the defending champs in the Avalanche. Minnesota's good. Nashville, I don't really know much about Nashville right now, but I don't think they're going to be as good as the Avalanche or as bad as the Blackhawks. The LA Kings are good again. Edmonton's obviously good. Calgary's good. Vancouver's not that great. Seattle's good. No, they're not good. Sorry, Vegas is good. Seattle's not very good, but I think they'll be better. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. But like literally watch Conor Bedard and just picture him in a red Blackhawk sweater, because like he's the dude. I mean, he is like, he is just absolutely special. I mean, this guy is been the consensus number 1 overall pick for years, and he just turned 17 years old. And since he was like 14 years old, people are like, this is going to be the number 1 draft pick in the NHL. And there's nothing that has, every year that he's played, it's just cemented it more that he's going to be the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a thing where you're looking at like Robert Griffin III versus Andrew Luck, who's going to get the first overall pick type deal. You know it's going to be him. Like when Connor McDavid was, you knew it was going to be Connor McDavid. Yeah.
And, you know, I think Conor Bedard is going to be better than Connor McDavid.
Ooh. So he's not even on the Hawks, and yet the Kool-Aid clink has begun.
I mean, that's regardless of where he goes. He is so stupid good. It's not even funny.
Just imagine if Detroit somehow played really bad this year and they got him.
Then he would suck and I would hate his guts.
You have like all this Conor Bedard merchandise, and then he gets drafted by Detroit, and you just go in, tears strolling down your face, just ripping it all down and throwing it into the dumpster. But not if you go into a Hamburglar suit and rig the draft.
Yeah, there's just no way that he's not going to be the number 1 pick, and the Blackhawks just have to get the number 1 pick. Just have to.
Praying on my knees. He's not from Chicago. Just say he's from Chicago. Change all the bios, and maybe they'll do what they did with Derrick Rose. Worth a try.
Like, we just need, like, when people are like, man, Chicago sports had things rigged when the Blackhawks got the number 1 pick, when the Bulls got the number 1 pick, and I go, meh, don't care. I will take it. I will take the rig.
I mean, hey, it was kind of when they got Derrick Rose, but the Blackhawks deserve those high picks because they were so bad for so long.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care how they get it. I just don't care as long as they get that number 1 pick.
Wasn't that the last first overall pick that the city's major 5 has had? Wouldn't that make sense?
Yeah.
The Bears haven't had the first overall pick. The closest they had was 3. Then they traded up to 2. The Cubs had the second overall pick when they took Chris Bryant.
Mm-hmm. I think that would be true.
Yep.
Should we wrap this up with a little Cubs?
Sure.
Or a little baseball? Well, I guess first, the White Sox, man, just they have totally shit the bed. But at least Tony La Russa, probably by the time you listen to this podcast, will have announced his retirement.
Sounds like Monday it's going to happen.
Yep. So when you listen to this Monday, know that Tony La Russa will be stepping down, which is a good thing. Gives the White Sox a do-over to bring in the right manager. And man, I hope they get the right one.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it would be a real shame. I mean, I'm a Cub fan, but it would be a real shame if you made another stupid hire again.
I just think they just can't. they've got to hit a home run here.
Right.
I haven't really thought about options yet because I just read the news today, so I haven't really thought about it. But they've just gotta hit a home run on this.
Yeah, I think if you're looking for the Sox, I think like a guy like Joe Espada from the Astros would be a good choice. I think that would be a good road to go along. Someone outside the organization. Don't hire AJ Pierzynski for nostalgic reasons.
Or Ozzie Guillen.
Yeah, listen, I know a lot of people want Ozzie back, and I know he did a lot of good things, but do you really want to get rid of a manager who's been out of the dugout for 10 years for another one? I'm sure under Ozzie, the discipline and the way they play would be different and probably better than under Tony La Russa, but I don't know, man. Go outside the organization. That's your best path at, I think, winning.
Yeah, they have to go outside the organization. They can't. I know Jerry's gonna want to bring in somebody that he knows. And I know this is probably going to be a name thrown around a lot, but you could have worse names. Bruce Bochy.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a guy who has been retired not too long, and he's a really good manager. Really, really good manager.
And he's old, but he's not that old. He's 66. So he's not ancient. But he had those Giants teams playing so good.
And those were teams that weren't necessarily filled with flashy names and firepower. He just got it done in the right time. You plugged in the right guys in the right places. The philosophy was good. They were fundamentally sound. All things the White Sox need.
So he's got to be a name you consider. But I haven't really thought too much about it.
People have brought up Don Mattingly, and I don't think that would be the best choice.
I don't think he's a bad manager, but I don't think he's what you want.
I don't think it would work as well. People brought up Joe Girardi. I wouldn't go that route either. People brought up Joe Madden, and I don't know if I'd go that. Listen, I love Joe Madden, but I think his managerial days his philosophy is just different, and he likes to stick by his guns, and I don't know. I just don't think that would work very well.
Sandy Alomar Jr.
Not a bad idea. I don't think that would be the best. I don't think it would be far and away the worst.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the names that pop up. Hopefully the hiring process isn't a dumpster fire like the last one,
where you don't even interview anybody. It's just, hey, we're bringing in Tony La Russa.
Fresh off a DUI.
Yeah, exactly.
He drunk drove all the way here. That means he really wants the job.
Exactly. Like, it's just the whole thing was screwed up, and the White Sox have a lot of work to do on their roster. There's no question about that. It's not the manager alone, but what you hope is that it didn't do much longer lasting damage having Tony La Russa here 2 years. I think if you retool the right way and you get people healthy and you have the right manager in there, you could still be World Series contenders. I absolutely believe that. I don't think that their window is necessarily shut, but you've got a lot of cleaning up to do.
Agreed. The other side of town, man, the Cubs have been playing good baseball.
Yes, they have. 11 out of 12 or whatever it was. They've won 7 in a row. The pitching looks great.
Yeah. It makes you optimistic for next year. They've guaranteed that they're not going to finish with 90 or more losses.
Mm-hmm. Better than last year, technically. You're seeing some strong finishes from guys like Seiya Suzuki and Marcus Stroman and Nico Horner. That's Ian Happ too. That's really encouraging. You're seeing the farm system produce. You saw South Bend. They won their championship. Tennessee went on a nice run. You got to see a final home run barrage from Canario, Davis, and Matt Mervis. Some good signs there.
Yeah. And you're seeing so many good, minor league prospects playing well that, like BJ Murray, Jake Slaughter.
Love that name.
So you're seeing guys just play really well, even not even your top guys, just throughout the organization. And you're creating an identity with your pitching staff, which I think is the way to win. And I just, they've got money to spend. They've got the structure in place. And unlike when their last rebuild was coming ripe, the farm system is set up so that you've got pieces that are continuously coming up, and they're not all coming up within the same 12-month period. So the future looks bright.
I feel good about it. I do. There's a lot that can happen in this offseason. Feels very wide open. They have the resources to bring in guys. Let's get to it.
I just hate to see that, it's becoming more and more tangible that Wilson Contreras is gone.
I'm 50-50 on that. I'm 50-50. I'm just playing the wait and see game. I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone, but I'm still holding on to some hope that he's going to come back. We'll see.
I had some glimmer of hope. Just the way he was talking today just makes it seem like he knows he's gone. And
I know the language didn't seem very promising.
And I just have heard nothing from the organization that says otherwise. They give me the feeling that they've kind of wanted to part ways with him and just never have gotten the trade value that they wanted.
Yeah, I don't know. The language didn't seem promising, but I know what you mean. It sounded kind of like he was saying goodbye. I'm not going to lie, but it seemed all but certain he was going to get traded at the deadline, and he wasn't. So I don't know.
I mean, it's not for lack of trying. They just weren't being offered what they thought they were going to get. And who knows, maybe because they're going to put the qualifying offer on him, and maybe teams aren't willing to pull the trigger on paying him a lot of money and losing the draft pick.
I mean, I think part of it is going to depend on who they get this offseason. I think they'd like Wilson Contreras back, but I also think they might prioritize free agents first.
I mean, that's a possibility.
And they say, you know what? These offensive players fit our mold better, and we're just going to go with a tandem of Yan Gomes and another veteran defensive catcher. Maybe that's what they do. And they replace Wilson's production at the plate in other ways. It's very possible. Maybe the Cubs are planning to move on because they just don't see him fitting their philosophy going forward. I'm not saying I think that or agree with it, but maybe that is just the whole reason for this, that they look forward and say, you know what, we want to build our catching core and our offensive core by different means. Very possible. Time will tell.
I mean, we're going to find out sooner rather than later, because the season is quickly wrapping up here.
Only 3 more games.
Yeah, we essentially know all of the teams that are in the playoffs. I was really hoping that the Cubs were going to knock the Phillies out, but the Brewers.
That means the Brewers would have to.
Yeah, but the Brewers aren't going to do anything.
No, they're probably not.
I mean, the Phillies, I think, could do something.
We'll see.
But I'm just another year of going up. Well, let's just see what the off season looks like, because it's going to be another year of watching somebody else win the World Series.
Yeah. Sigh.
And it's just unreal. The Dodgers just keep putting together how many straight seasons of like 100 wins.
And they're going to be doing that for the next 5+ years.
I mean,
they're not going anywhere.
They're like a machine.
Yep. I could dream of being that good, but they're going to be contenders for the next decade.
I mean, but if you ask Atlanta fans, it's, you can keep making it, you can keep winning your division, keep going to the playoffs, but doesn't always end up in postseason success.
That's the thing about it. A lot of things can happen in October. That's why we should be very happy we at least saw one Cubs World Series in recent years.
I mean, just imagine how shitty this would be if we hadn't won in 2016.
If we would have lost that Game 7. I'll never forget thinking when we were down 3-1, when I thought, okay, we made it to the World Series. We keep progressing. We'll just come back next year and win it all. Boy, it's a good thing they came back and won.
Yep. Yep. Indeed. Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nope. I think I've said my piece.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Share this podcast with your friends. It's how we grow the show. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, ShyFanPat2 for Alex on Twitter, or AlexanderJPatCreative.com for all the cool stuff that Alex does. And thanks everybody so much for listening. And until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like... Remember, New Yorkers, smoking crack is not legal on planes.
Bears 31 to -7.
The Bears! Oh, when the Bears go bearing down